Are you listening? Are you listening?
Check it out, it's your boy Debo the Don. You're watching Debo the Don TV. When you have a moment, like, share, subscribe. Be sure to leave a comment below and also hit that notification button. My brother Matt Lugo, what's going on?
It's part two.
This is part two.
Hey, before we get to it, because I don't want to disturb my man's whole flow. I promised y'all part two. This was Lugos Designs collaboration to bring you something real on part two. So before we get started, I want to thank my man Debo the Don TV for always putting it down for us.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
All right. Yes. So today we're here with my brother Matt Lugo, entrepreneur, painter, car custom builder, but overall sex symbol. Yes. Yeah, you know, just to pick up from last interview, there were some things that we did touch on. We had lost the footage, but I wanted to kind of backtrack and give some of the people who are watching just a bit of the fundamental stages of your lowrider experience. So my first question is, you know, some people think you're from Miami, some people think you're from LA, and then some people associate you with being from Orlando. Where exactly are you from?
That's a crazy question because it's one of those things that my wife always asks. Like, what do you really represent? Where you from? And I'm like, I'm from everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm from every coast. I think the unification East and West has to happen and it's been there. But I believe that if people start to say that they're just from one side and don't represent the other side, then they're wrong for that. So I'm from New York City.
Okay.
I represent the West Coast as a West Coast disciple.
Okay.
Okay, not so much that I was born and bred in the West Coast, because that's not what I represent.
Yes.
I represent like a whole following that's been going on, a generational following based on culture.
Yes.
And I brought it to the East Coast.
Okay.
So I represent that. But for the fact of me actually moving south was a crazy thing, because it was either going to be SoCal or it was going to be Florida. And a lot of people don't know that. Like, they're like, oh, he just went to Florida because his family went there or whatever. But what people don't know is that I had an option. And I was like, let me go to Florida and see what's up. Because I'm going to go back to the 90s. I'm going back 97 and 99. 97 and 99 was pivotal because I got to learn what the East Coast, the Southeast had in reference to what we were doing in New York. And I believe at that time it was different because the cars were newer. People were getting the new trends. They were copying a lot of the big body stuff that was just happening. All these things that was happening. And I felt like Miami was the right place because I think Miami had like this rich embodiment of what lowriding was, but their own version.
Yes.
Their own styles, sitting on cheese puffs and, doing all that. Like, that's what they was doing then. The gold grills and that's Miami. I ain't gonna lie. Gold trim to match and gold emblems. That was the shit. But back in those times, lowriding was still young then, like as a culture. And I think people didn't understand just because they listened to Snoop Dogg and did all that wasn't the culture. That was a part of the culture. The culture was to build quality cars that signified independence and being unique.
Okay.
And I think that's what made Miami different from everywhere I've ever been. But me coming to Florida was different because I think for one time there was a very good subculture movement, and now it's a division. And I believe that there's guys on this side and guys on that side that don't know where to be. They don't know the middle ground. So there's guys like me that even, I keep myself in a place where it's like, I'm still 90s mentality. The way I build a car, the way I do things, still the same way. So, yeah, to answer your question straight up, I'm from everywhere.
Okay. You're from everywhere.
I'm from everywhere.
Now, I do want to ask, you being a native New Yorker, what was your first lowrider encounter? Was it through Music videos? Was it on the streets?
it's
Because
fun.
there's this misconception about New York that, you know, things just kind of like happen and that people are like
Boy.
carbon copies.
Man, oh man, let me simplify it. So, it was the music first, but not so much the music video.
Okay.
It was the sound of the music that was different, right? First.
Yes.
Then it gave you like this question, like, where did this come from?
Mm-hmm.
Now it came to search, where do I find Lowrider Magazine? Only thing we had at the time was Lowrider Orleans. Orleans was like the before Lowrider, during Lowrider, but it wasn't as publicated as far as like the masses.
Okay.
It was an underground magazine like you would buy, you know, like when Vibe came out and all those magazines. Like it was underground.
Yeah.
When we discovered Lowrider, that was like the pill. It was like, let's do it every day. Let's get this shit. And the first time I seen a Lowrider magazine was in 1996.
Okay.
Okay, I seen 94s, I seen 93s, but that was during 96. So I had to backtrack. Like, where did this come from? Finding out the 1970s. Now the 70s magazines, unfortunately, I didn't have access to, but the 90s was pivotal because we were all trying to like figure out what does a hydraulic system do, and what makes it go up and down. What makes all this happen? So my first real encounter was a magazine in '96. It was the Daza edition.
Okay.
The first Daza, like when she was in the little short shorts with the switch. That was I love that. I mean, I'm telling you right now, that was the magazine, and that's what got me started. And then it was introduced by my older brother. He was low riding before me, obviously.
Okay.
And he brought me around a lot of the local scene, a lot of the stuff that was happening that wasn't a representation of anything. It was just them following something they figured out and they thought it worked. So the first car, I would say anything that was low to me at that time was a lowrider, because that was what everybody thought a lowrider was.
Yeah.
But then when I first got to see that first switch, it was like, it was that feeling like, whoa,
Yeah.
what was that about? Did you see the way he looked at this guy? You know what I mean? And that's what really got me involved. There was a couple of characters that were underground at the time. If they would have still been around, to me, they would have been like the supreme OGs of like where we came from, the Bronx. Unfortunately, they were misguided themselves. One guy owned a Pathfinder. Nissan Pathfinder. It was all purple and gold.
Okay.
He was actually, I believe he had some relation to some people at Red's Hydraulics.
Okay.
From the West Coast. And then he came to New York. And then he befriended a guy named Yucky. Yucky had an Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme in '85. And that was the first car that my brother actually traded his Mazda RX-7 for an Oldsmobile. That car was then converted into a car dancer. And we got into car dancing because we liked the mechanical part of hydraulics.
Gotcha.
The way it worked, the way it bounced, all that shit. So let's just say, long story short, once I was able to catch the bug, it was unstoppable, but I knew it was going to become something bigger.
Okay.
Like I had a feeling that this was not just like a regular subculture thing that was based on a magazine or music. I thought that this was going to be something huge, and I wanted to be a part of it. You know, whether it was me waiting, even in my youth, man, it was hard to represent, because I was around in a time where gangbanging was at an all-time high, the music was changing. You know, the want and the need for gear and clothing was at an all-time high. The internet was just slamming out in the game, and I just feel like people were stretching their neck out to make themselves, I guess, important in a time when that was important because everything was brand new. You know, so lowriding was brand new. But my brother, on the other hand, he was that guy. You know, he showed me, you know, what that first ride was.
Now let me ask you, you know, more recently, I see in the last, let's just say 15 years, you know, Times Square's kind of been the street venue where some of the more prominent car clubs in New York come out to, you know, just to hang out and cruise. Let's go back to 1996, 97. Where were people actually going that were involved in the culture of lowriding in New York or the tri-state area?
That all depended. That all depended on what hood you was from.
Okay.
Right? Because here's the thing, right? Like the culture cultivated amongst all boroughs at the time.
Yeah.
We were all searching for something. The same people were like, I can't wait to meet another me.
Yeah.
Can't wait. So Our thing was like everything centralized in New Jersey for some apparent reason. Englishtown, New Jersey, Acco Raceway. You're talking about before the Jersey Shore was the biggest thing in the world. We were going to the Jersey Shore, you know. But within the boroughs, I think we were searching within each other's hoods, not realizing that we was in each other's hoods. I mean, I was going to Richmond Hill, Queens.
Okay.
And the first dudes that I met was Drastic.
Drastic, yes.
And no lie, I thought they were the coolest because I think that they had the most tight-knit group.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also realized that they were somewhat like a gang, even then. Like, we was outsiders. We tried to go to a meeting or two, and it was very, you know, hey, where are these guys from? They're not from Richmond Hill, Queens. They're not from Brooklyn. They're from the Bronx.
Yeah.
When you heard somebody was lowriding in the Bronx, that was a different type of thing, you know. So I think it depended on where you came from. Queens Boulevard became a big thing, you know. Queens Boulevard was brand new to me in comparison to being in the Bronx.
Okay.
Hunts Point was the thing, but it was for race car guys and import guys, and it wasn't for the lowrider at that time. And then at the time there were other clubs that existed. I can't forget Chicanos. Chicanos had been there probably before I was even, you know, thought of being lowriding, you know. So there was a lot of groups, and I think that the struggle at that time was technology. I think now that there's so much technology, people attain more products.
Okay.
Especially lowriding products, wheels, tires, the right stuff, suspension, hydraulics. It's all going to be, I guess you could say, good stuff now. Back then, you were getting third party, like used setups and used pumps and used cylinders, and there was never that accessibility to actually get, you know, the right product. So I think New York has changed.
Yeah.
I think it changed for the good. I'm really proud of what a lot of the riders did and they picked up on. I mean, Times Square, I cruised Times Square in the early days.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody used to cruise Times Square. Cops, like I was never that, you know.
Yeah.
I was never that guy. But now I'm like really proud of them that they really picked up the ball and they started that movement. I think it's important for the youth to understand this is positive, and that's why they cruise the street.
Yes.
It shows a positive movement forward. So yeah, I mean, man, in comparison to today, it's night and day.
It's night and day.
Yeah.
All right. So just to fast forward, you making the transition from New York and becoming I'd say a household name here in Orlando or Central Florida area. What are, I would say, some of the more likable aspects of the culture here, and then what are some of the things that you see that you're not really happy about that may necessarily need some improvement?
I'm going to keep it 100% because that's what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm going to speak on this like this. I think that Florida has the potential, always has had the potential to be a great place to low ride.
Yes.
I've seen the get-togethers and the cruise nights, and I think it has the potential to be a great place. I think the people are what make it what it is right now.
Okay.
The quality in person, not the car.
Yes.
Never mind. Listen, everybody want to go to the car. What do you got? This is a badass car. I don't care. They have to be a badass car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have a quality person behind that car, you've got a great group of people that are willing to push it forward in a positive way. On the bad side, I hate to like shine so much light on the negative, but I'll say on the bad side, everybody want to be a chief and not be an Indian.
Okay.
In a position where we're all still learning, I guess, our unique way to represent ourselves in lowriding in this place, in Florida. They're not willing to get outside the box. For instance, years ago, guys would see me get on a plane. Why are you going to LA? Why are you going to LA? Why do you keep going to LA? That's knowledge. I don't care how you want to look at it. If I've gained anything from LA, I would say you've got to understand where the motherland is first. You know, it's just like religion, man. You got to know where the Bible came from. You got to know where the Quran came from. You got to know where all this shit came from. How could you worship something if you don't know where it came from?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with lowriding. Like, we believe in all these lowrideristic ways of being. But do you know where it came from? Do you know who originated it? And I believe that Florida has a very slow-paced mentality when it comes to understanding what the culture is. It's not a hobby anymore. I'll take that out of it. I used to think of it as like, oh, this is a hobby, it's keeping me out of trouble. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. If you wake up in the morning and you play the same jams every morning or something like it, that's a lifestyle. If you look at the same cars, that's a lifestyle. But you can't go 1 week lowrider, the next week I'm in a S600. Like you're either European car guy or you lowrider, period. Now, don't get me wrong, I like my S600, S550s and shit, but that ain't my first thing. I'd rather be in my lowrider even if the AC don't work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Roll the windows down and cruise. But I think that this state has a lot to learn as a whole.
Okay.
Right now it's divisional. I feel like Central Florida and South Florida are very divided. Amongst information they have no clue over. They'd rather judge and say, that guy's this, this, and this, than to say, hey, let me call the guy up and see who he is, what he's about. At least give him one shot.
Yeah.
That's going to be Florida's downfall for lowriding.
So how do you think that'll change?
The only way for it to change is for more open topic and more open dialogue to be presented. Just like this particular conversation, as well as conversations that happen in the background.
Yes.
Those things have to happen. Does turmoil come with that? Sure. Does there some disagreement? Sure. But as long as those conversations are had, you can get all the bullshit out the way. You know, I think that that's been the biggest issue I've seen here amongst a lot of lowriders, including yourself, including many OG lowriders that try to lowride.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Okay.
That's a big problem.
Definitely.
You know, communication to me, if it fails, then it's a failure. I think it's key. I think that's what's going to fix this here.
Now, talking about communication, recently on Instagram, you had had a few people kind of attack you and your brand. I made a post about, our last interview, and some people came out and said that you were an invalid person as far as being a guy of sincerity, a guy who's a painter. They basically were stating that you didn't really have the credentials. And we talk about the keyboard warriors and the internet thugging. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah. Well, that changes perspective on everything, because I think that a lot of these guys they're misunderstood. Like, they don't even know how to communicate their opinion. So like when I see stuff like that, it's either A, you feel really bad about yourself and your skill set. If I've already proven a certain level of skill set, then it shouldn't matter to you what I'm doing. What makes me valid or authentic or a capability of doing something, I've already done it. I don't want to list the accolades, because then I sound like a fucking jerk off, right? Because then they blame me. See what he is, see who he is, see how he is. I'm not gonna do that. Look it up, it's on Google. The next thing is whenever somebody has to get on Instagram to say something to me, first of all, I'm gonna let y'all know straight up. You know where to find me. A. B. My telephone number's on Instagram. C. I don't have anything to prove to anybody on Instagram, YouTube, social media events, in person. I've already done all this. Now, there's two ways you could play me. You could play me from I like this guy, I respect this guy, or I don't like this guy, or I don't respect this guy, and I still will respect your decision. But let me tell you something about Instagram and social media. It's the worst place that you could be to ever put out an opinion based on somebody's work, body of work, their effort. I've been really patient, throughout my whole lowrider career with everybody that's opinionated about who I am, what I represent, how sincere. But the one thing that stays active is that none of you know who I am as a person or in the professional light. So please, if you have an opinion, I do want to see it. I do want to hear it, positive or negative, because at the end of the day, you get to air yourself out. Nobody has to keep that, that stuff inside. it's not good for your health. Let's just say ego tripping is not good for you. At the end of the day, I don't represent myself based off of like trying to get clout points, likes, follows, any of that stuff. That's not what I started out doing. It's the unfortunate part is that fear drives motivation for a lot of things. When somebody's scared of skill set, when somebody's scared of being themselves, they have to say negative things to you. They have to say, oh, he's not valid enough to say. And let me get one more point out, because we're gonna get to the bottom of that. Nobody claimed anything about me apprenticing, about anybody, about any artist. I look up to all artists on a general level. Not just because they're a big name. Half of you don't even know who Danny D is. Half of you don't know who Bugs is. Half of you don't know the original Bugs Ochoa. Shout out to my dude, he hit me up this week. Shout out to everybody that's been positive. Sal Manzano. Okay, Sal to me is the holy grail of this game. I can't never sit here in an interview and say I'm better than Sal Manzano or Danny D or Armando or anybody. I'm here being me. That's the difference. That's all I represent is me. So if anybody's mad about me representing me, it's a sad thing. Because I believe that everybody has the right to represent who they are, where they're from. Whatever they are. You don't have to be the best painter in the world to be valid or relevant. You complain about what I'm doing. You don't like that I'm teaching. Okay, if you don't like that I'm teaching, there's many teaching programs you can come up with to teach. Nobody's raping the game. Nobody's getting rich. We're just trying to feed kids and stay positive. Period. So this isn't about, to me, it was never about trying to make a statement online. It's about me bringing awareness to the game. There are no spokespersons for what we do. Think about it. There are idols and legends, which I recognize that a lot of people wouldn't even know what to do if they met. You know? And at the end of the day, I've never became the guy to bandwagon jump. Because you playing a tune doesn't mean that I gotta jump on the band. I can sit over here and watch the band go by. I got my own band. You know what I mean? That's what Lugos Familia is. That's what Lugos Designs represents. We are our own thing. If you want to join it, the door's open. That's sincerity. That's not a lie. You know, I'm looking at everybody in their face, but yet they'd rather turn around, turn their back and talk shit. Not the guy. So, to clear it up, if y'all don't like it, it's all good. Post, like, subscribe, follow.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, nothing's ever going to stop what I've been doing in this game. And there's more to come. I don't believe I'm the say-all. I never said I was the say-all answer to any of this. I think that's the misconception too. Is everybody says, oh, well, you think you're the say-all of the game, and you... No. I'm like less than 1% of the game.
Yes.
I don't make up and represent 100% of low riding like that to where I'm like, it's God's given word that this is the way it's done. No, I'm saying everybody has the ability to be them. Be yourself. You represent something, represent it. What I get really upset about at times is, why is it that everybody else got to come out and shine, but when I shine, it's too bright? You know, it's too much. Oh, that paint job's too much. Oh, you shining too hard. Oh, you... Listen, man, stop being butthurt. Stop that shit. It's not about that. It's about us riding together. If not together, there's always another road. You can go another way. But, again, I do appreciate the Instagram likes, dislikes, comments, negative and positive. And I think that's taken me a lot to take scrutiny. I think that's another thing. People don't like taking scrutiny. Scrutiny is tough. For me to be scrutinized, I gotta accept good, bad, ugly, upside down, not like, dislike, whatever it comes with it. And I think that's the courageousness that people don't have. They're not courageous enough to be like, I don't care what Matt Lugo says about me or says about me, or they're scared. Fear. Fear is everything, my friend. And I'll say that. Once you conquer fear, you can do anything in your life. Just like in war, man. If you're gonna run away from the fucking the enemy, nah, you run towards the enemy.
Yeah.
Fear's not gonna do nothing for you in a war of life, financial war, whatever war you're in. That's real talk. You know what I'm saying? That's real life stuff. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up to my attention, because I believe that people have to be aware that I do see the negative.
Yes.
You know, I do see the negative, and I appreciate that too, because it's a bit of honesty. At least it's how you feel to me at that point. I respect that more than if you said it behind somebody's back and said, "Oh, he's a punk bitch," and then went at him on the internet like, "Oh, I love you, man." There's people like that too that'll go, "I love you, man."
Yes.
I'm not that guy. If I like you, I'll tell you I like you. If I don't like you, I don't mess with you.
Yeah.
Nothing against you personally. I just don't. You know. So I want to see everybody win at the end of the day. Devo to Don TV and the movement that we created at Lugos Familia is very synonymous. It's very, I could say it's interchangeable when you think about it. We come from the same things.
Yes.
We believe in the same things. We've seen the same things, affected by the same things. So when people see a united front, nobody wants to see a united front, my friend, unfortunately. And that's why, going back, knowledge is everything. If you can get knowledge, you can get past ignorance. That's it.
Yes.
You know, so representing where I'm from and what I do, the people that I've been around, only the real people know who I am. People that actually sit down with me and say, "Who is this guy? What's he about? Is he bullshit? Is he fluffy? Who is he?" Those are the only opinions to me that'll really count.
Okay.
You know.
Well, you talk about, you know, people not really knowing who you are. I want to ask because, you know, in private conversations, there's been events that you said, "Hey, I want to kind of avoid my participation in."
Sure.
Why is that?
I feel like this. I feel like I don't have to be and say anything that has to be said that I don't feel has to be said or done. Same thing with participation at events. Same thing with participation in conversation, based on opinion, based on any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Lugo doesn't have to be anywhere anybody says, period. If I feel like being there, I'm there. If I'm not there, then I'm just not there. My participation goes way beyond car shows. You see, that's the problem that people don't really see. I've had my voice and my movement behind a lot of projects that people don't know about. Stuff that's iconic in the game that you'd be like, wow, my voice, my eyes, everything was on that already. So I applaud the movement that's happening in Florida. I really do. I hope that Lowrider brings back what this place has been missing. But I also think that the events are very volatile. You know, seeing events, you know, in recent year from Classic Angels and all these guys, I don't know exactly what took place. But there's nothing, there's no need for it. There's no need. We're doing cars. We're not getting record deals. Ain't nobody getting $2 million this week. Like, none of that. I don't get that part. And I've always floated in a way that only floated for Matt Lugo. You know, my boat only flows when it needs to. I don't need to put gasoline in my gas tank if I don't have to. In so many words. I roll this way because I don't have to be accessible to everybody. I've been able to weed out a lot of people that actually are genuinely there for me and people that have just never been genuinely there for me. So I think this was a big life lesson in low riding. Not so much learning about cars and hydraulics. This was more about life lessons.
Okay.
So the movement's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to leave the floor open for you. There were a couple of things you wanted to talk about. What was on your chest that you feel is bothering you as of right now?
I think that being generalized in the game, I think that, like, the movement's tainted by negativity right now. There's a lot of guys trying to make progress forward. We're trying to push forward, even myself. You know, I may not be there all the time to see every situation, but I feel like the minute someone is disliked, that person can't progress to whatever they're trying to do. So like right now, shout out to my team. I can't even lie, like Easy Customs. He's a very pivotal dude in what we've been doing moving customcultureclasses.com forward has been an uphill battle. A lot of people have sent me hate mail. I've gotten all kinds of things, man. I've gotten threats. I'm gonna come see you. I'm gonna come to your class and talk to you. I'm gonna come in. Look, that's what I'm disappointed about. How is it that I'm presenting something positive, but these people are willing to make it so negative? Do you realize there is no actual scholastic program you can take for this? Do you realize that? Does this fucking dawn on anyone? Like, literally, look. I just received a message the other day, okay, from Bugs Ochoa. Shout out to you again. Lowrider Hall of Fame. Him and I met 2 years ago at a Danny D event. And let me tell you something, man. When you think that people aren't watching what you're doing, how you're doing it, they're watching. He said something to me. He said, and I swear to God, I will screenshot this message to you later. That way you see it. It's identifiable. He said, if it wasn't for you, Danny D and Sal Manzano keeping this thing alive, teaching people, I don't know where we'd be. Now this is a man that's 67, 68 years old plus, that painted with some of the best, the Mario Gomez, the Walt Praise of the world, all these bomb-ass people that I can't even compare myself to. When he said that, I had to like really swallow what I'm doing. Like I had to really like take it in. So what I've been doing and what my team has been doing, we've been just trying to share this thing as a culture. That's why we call it custom culture classes. I'm not just teaching paint and how to mix this crap. You can go online and look that up. When you come to my class, you're experiencing a cultural event. That's why people actually come. That's why we sold out New York in 2 weeks. That's 10 people in 2 weeks. 10. It's unheard of. Unless you're a big name artist, you know, putting your big banner out there. No, they believe in my movement. They believe that this is true. I got guys in New York right now that came here to this location right here, and I taught them right here on a private tip that are just jamming away. That's what I want. I don't even have to see $1. If I could do it for free, I'd do it for free. But everything has to be monetized that has information, has skill set behind it. If you go to school and you take a college course, how much is a college course? Nowadays.
No, junior college average 400, 450.
Okay.
Could
you possibly tell your guy, hey, I want to take a college course for art, but it's got to be lowrider? It's unheard of. You can't take it in college. You could take perspective art.
They'll if there's a demand, they'll figure out ways to funnel in the curriculum, but you got to pay for it. Right. You got to pay to play, and nothing's free. No, not in this game, and there's a lot of thieves in this game. That's another problem.
Everybody want to think everything's free.
Yeah.
Free 99. Where am I going to get it? No, it wasn't free to me. I can't tell you how many times I've messed up in here. Mm-hmm. Cost me money. Good paint, trash. Panels, trash. Materials, trash. Got to pay to play, pimp. But I want to say to everybody that's out there, we got to stop hating on each other. We got to stop the negative vibes, the Instagram, the nonsense that's been going on, man. It's like a parasite. You know you're cheating yourself when you do that. It's not like anybody's even winning. So if you don't like my movement, if you don't like what I've been doing, if you feel like I'm irrelevant, or the status and topic of me actually teaching is not there, so be it. You don't have to register. You don't have to register to me. You don't have to register to any of that. Nobody's asking or begging you for any kind of money. But for those people that actually have been following and actually follow this video and these videos, this channel, look at it like this. There's some real people that are unattainable that are becoming attainable because they want to be. I don't have to do customcultureclasses.com for anybody. It's like, nobody asked me. This was an idea out of the grassroots like everything else. The sponsors, have been incredible. For them to even is I can't even say thank you. And they continue to support you guys, not me. I can't drink and eat paint. It goes out there to the game, like, and that's what I tell people. Like, look, nobody's making that much money on commerce off this. This isn't about that. This is about paying for my time and then you experiencing something you cannot experience anywhere else in the whole world. Now, of course, there's been talks about me going to Australia. That was the truth. I'm working some out. Maybe Japan. Who knows?
Okay.
But at this point in time, I haven't touched enough people in the U.S. market.
Yes.
The goal is to go to Texas. The goal is to go to Las Vegas. The goal is, our next class after New York is Stockton, California, Northern California. Big movement there now. I mean, guys following me. I've been getting so much response from it. It's unbelievable. They've also been subscribing to Devo to Don TV, which I appreciate y'all for that. And we're trying to get this message out in a positive way. And again, I'm not the aggressor. I'm not an aggressive person. I think people got that misunderstood about me. Mm-hmm. I'm very assertive, and I'm very serious about what I believe in. And it doesn't mean that you got to believe in it. It doesn't mean that you got to believe in any of this. You don't got to care. I'm not asking you to, but at least respect it. Because if you're not doing anything that's bigger than this, then you have nothing to say. If you're not out there actually putting yourself on the line every day, you have nothing to say. Your opinion means nothing at that point. Contribute to the game, have your opinion, and then it might mean something. That's
Definitely.
simple.
Well, this is my last question, and then we'll wrap it up.
For sure.
What do you want to be known for locally and abroad when it comes to your name and contribution to the lowrider culture?
I want to be a cultural mogul. A mogul of culture, not finance. I want people to look at me and go, Matt, what's the blueprint? How did you make all this following off of just one idea? I want to be looked at as a positive person, not a negative. I didn't take from the game. I didn't steal from the game. I gave back to the game. If anybody could take that from me, I won. That's what I want to be known as. When I'm gone, when this is all said and done out here in this world, when, God takes me, I want them to know that I was here for a positive reason, not a negative. If anybody had a negative connotation about me, they didn't get to know me. It's that simple. They didn't get to know who I was. They didn't get to know what I'm about. They only got to know what people had to say. So I want to become the cultural mogul of the game. When they say Matt Lugo, Lugos Designs, they're going to remember, like, wow, that dude actually took the time out to care. I don't want to be compared to nobody. I am who I am, and if you follow my movement and the people around me, then I already won. That's it.
That's beautiful. Well, my brother, I thank you for shedding that beautiful knowledge. And I just also, I appreciate you being committed to the culture and not giving up. I have a saying, not every day's Christmas and not every night's Halloween.
That's right.
And, in this game, sometimes you just kind of have to bury your heart. And you gotta, feed poison with poison, because it's real out here, and it's a lot of real fake people who are dangerous. So in order to survive and persevere, hey, you gotta take the good with the bad, but you also have to be able to give the bad as well. And I think you've been able to do that.
Oh.
So I appreciate you.
Hey, listen, I appreciate Devo to Don TV and your whole crew and everybody that's been behind this. Been getting a lot of love from other people, other places that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
DJ Vegas, I see you.
Vegas.
Appreciate you. Yeah, thank you,
my brother.
Man. There's a lot of people have been reaching out this past couple weeks that have became a lot more supportive than I thought. Negative, because originally it was negative, but all your crew, man, everybody that's behind you right now, I think Devo to Don TV is going to be the next thing. Bigger than anything that's out there, because I'm not saying that because this is my dude. I'm saying that because his movement's actually been, before the video, before it went to YouTube, he already had this movement. People need to now see and read what he's doing and follow it. And this ain't scripted. Nobody's practicing. We ain't practicing. My dude.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.
Yes.
Appreciate you, dude.
It's a wrap. All right.